We'd like to thank you for tuning into G1 Toys while we embark upon a journey. The incredible thing about this journey is that we don't even know what's to come, but we are ecstatic nonetheless. The important thing is we have the layout and the lesson plan to follow as we venture into a new world of PS4 collecting. I am happy to start off this adventure with Adventure Time, Finn and Jake Investigations on PS4. And this is my first PS4 wave. I know it's been a long time coming, and you all have been so patient, so thank you for waiting. Let's talk about these games. This is an E rating, 10 and everyone up, Little Orbit developer. There is the back of the game for you. And I just love the artistic direction on these PS4 games. They're just so nice, just so well done. So, talking about Adventure Time, fourth in the series of games and losing way forward to be replaced by Vicious Cycle, then bought by Little Orbit. Whew. That's a lot of developers. I can see why the developer decided to go 3D, but I was more than a little annoyed with the tackiness. Where's the adventure here that the title promises? It's a bland look at what otherwise is a unique television show. At least Secret of the Nameless Kingdom on PS3 crossed Zelda with that classic Adventure Time charm and gave us an immersive, nostalgic gameplay, whereas this one gave us a shape-shifting dog and a stick figure in the mud. Next up, we're talking about Assassin's Creed Unity. This is a Walmart exclusive edition that includes an extra mission and weapon. Kind of cool there. Got Ubisoft as your developer there at the bottom with the mature rating at the bottom on the left there. And then on the back you have, of course, some very pretty artwork of France and the game itself. Very awesome. So this is a visually stunning recreation of 18th century France. Despite some bad reviews, this game kept me playing to the end, and what it lacked in story had me free running to upgrade my character. Was it an amazing story though? No. But it was at least decent. Missions were a blast and will make you decide which style of infiltration you prefer. It could have used some refinement on its stealth, however. I put roughly 23 hours into this one, and once I finished, I felt moderately fulfilled, so I really hope for greatness from the next installment. Speaking of the next installment, we have Assassin's Creed Syndicate, and this one is by Ubisoft as well. Mature rating, this is the limited edition, includes Darwin and Dickens conspiracy missions. It's kind of cool. This one I did enjoy quite a bit. It kind of went a little bit of a different direction, but actually was really fun and definitely worth your time. So about Syndicate. We are graced with the scenery of London, and this time some familiar historical figures from the era. Also, you'll be branding, count 'em, 2 assassins to deal out stab after stab as you flex your murderous muscles. The grappling hook was a nice new touch for 1800s London travel. No monumental changes were made in gameplay, so they really invite anyone who appreciates the original model Sunday of the series with just a few extra toppings. This is a time sucker if you let it consume you like I usually do based on the scenery. Fun kills and interaction you can have, but sometimes that's all a man needs. Next up, we're talking about Batman Arkham Knight. And this is Rocksteady, DC Comics, and Warner Brothers there at the bottom on your developers. This is a mature rated game, the first Batman game that is mature rated, that is. So I was very interested and intrigued right away when I saw this title come out. And it was awesome. Probably my favorite so far. What an incredible rendition of Gotham, not to mention the closure on this story. This game was psychologically dark and fulfilling. So much to do in this open world extravaganza. Pretty much all around this game is the one to own amongst the series. Rocksteady Games will end with a bang and a batarang in your eye. Next up, we're talking about Bloodborne with a mature rating there at the bottom. Only on PlayStation. This is an exclusive for the PlayStation. By, it looks like Japan Studios, your developer on that one. Hunt Your Nightmares. Oh man, guys, I can't even express the amount of amazing graphics this game had, and just keeps you involved. Even if you're getting your butt kicked, it still keeps you wanting to play and see more with this game. When you let the makers of Demon's Souls and Dark Souls make an RPG adventure on PS4, you better set up stakes and ante in for a long playthrough with frustratingly difficult AI. Not to say it isn't brilliant, because it is. The top-notch characters and sound production move this game along eerily, but not rapidly. You will find that this one is a good candidate to hibernate for the winter with. It reminds me a bit of Nightmare Creatures because it leaves you with blood-soaked memories of the creatures that attack you. However, the advancement in fine game-making transcends that now ancient experience from the PS1 days. And our next game is Dying Light. This is the Enhanced Edition, The Following. This one is by Techland and Warner Brothers. Mature rating there at the bottom. And this one was quite good. As you can see the back, very fun looking game. And with this one, it was a fabulous quest-filled zombie land that started a little slow but soon grips the player in what I wanted to see from the Dead Island franchise. There's parkour, vehicular zombie slaughter, and open spaces to explore. I don't even need to mention the graphics because these PS4 exclusive titles need no explanation. I'm not saying that this was a perfect zombie game, but it was in the running for best 10 out there. Coming in next, we bring you Final Fantasy Type O HD. This is by Square Enix. Mature rating there at the bottom, and yep, that's a Final Fantasy title with a mature rating. Another surprise, so I was kind of interested in what they would be doing with this one. I love the back of this, it looks really cool actually. So it really didn't feel much different as the mature rating goes. There's a couple things, I guess, that are a little intense in it, so I can see why they gave it the mature, but it just really didn't, make me think as I was playing the whole time that this was really a mature feel through the whole game whatsoever. But let's talk about this. This is a PSP remake in HD, 40 plus hours long, and this is War. The great part about it is that you have different abilities for each player. This is also a fast-paced Final Fantasy that gives you a real-time feel in battle, while keeping HP as a forerunning method of defeating your enemies. At this point, we all know what to expect with RPGs. Tons of ways to level up your fighter, and nothing has changed here. It is a time-based game, but it doesn't feel overly dependent on it. And if anything, just makes you manage your playthrough accordingly. Visually, it's not incredible, but a definite jump from its original handheld console. And next up, we're talking about Atari Flashback Classics Volume 1, and I was so excited to see that they're releasing these. I just love the old Atari 2600 games. This includes 50 games total, and there's the back for you. A little Atari 2600 action going on there. The second one right here was actually a little better than that first one. This includes a few more of my favorites from the era. 50 more games, of course, E ratings on both of these. And you got some Crystal Castle action, one of my faves. Also one of my faves right there was Missile Command. Really, really love that game. It's one of the best Atari 2600 games of all time, next to another one we'll talk about later. But yeah, pretty fun stuff. So these two games, immediately upon hearing about the collections, I was on board to get my copies, including some arcade-style titles and mostly Atari 2600 titles. Volume 1 wasn't as nostalgic as I would have liked, but still includes a lot of extras like comics and manuals from the original games. I guess I'm just a little ticked they didn't include Berserk in either one of these collections so far. The second volume contained a bit more gems and the same options for manuals and such as the first. As of now, you can get these for around $15 to $20 a piece right now, but honestly, I would wait until they're a bit older and try to snag them for less on the used market. Is there a Volume 3 for the future? I would imagine they could do it with the titles left on the system that they haven't used, which includes some rare titles. So I pray to the Atari gods that they do. And our next game is Fallout 4 by Bethesda. Whew, another level of gaming brilliance has befallen us here with this game. This is a mature rated game. And I think, I feel like I should just give this a moment of silence because this game kept me into it the whole time. As you know, guys, I'm a huge fan of Fallout. And when I played this, the textures, the extra options, everything involved with this game was on another level of greatness. And let's just talk about it. As you probably gathered from my choice of introductions to my game reviews, I do believe that this series, starting from Part 3, has swept me off my feet for gameplay, graphics, and story, more so than any other game out there. I played this for roughly 60 hours before completing it, and every hour I donated from my short lifespan was incredibly worth it. The experience coupled with the reward system are a showstopper here. If you wanted more upgrade capability, better graphics, and sandbox cityscaping options, you get it here, and then some. There were moments where I felt like I really needed a lot more than 60 hours to do everything, but that's not quite a bad thing either. If I could ask anything from the game, it would be to have armor that lasted longer before having to scrap your entire collection to rebuild it. But it's such a minor gripe in what could possibly be one of the best games ever made. Next up, we're talking about Geometry Wars Dimensions Evolved. Geometry Wars 3, that is, to the third power, if you want to get technical about it. This is by Sierra. E rating there at the bottom. And yep, I haven't opened this one yet, but I have played the game, so I'm going to review it for you now. The full evolution, mild fantasy violence in this one. Boy, we are pushing the limits there, aren't we? So, with Geometry Wars, just when you thought Star Wars was a good name, you get the perfectly titled homage that comes out all shapes blazing. It's a Tron-like atmosphere with many Robotron overtones. 3D environments rotate at your whim, while pieces of the ground come alive, if you can call a shape sentient, that is. A game that can be enjoyed by all, and mesmerizingly addictive gameplay put this advancement in arcade-like shooters for the PS4 as a must-have for any gamer who can appreciate a set of nice curves and tangents. Up next, we have Knack. This is a PlayStation-only exclusive by Sony, E10 and everyone up. And as you can see by that little bit of a sticker remnant there at the top, you can tell that I bought this on the used market. But hopefully you don't judge me for that, right? Because we got to do what we got to do to get these PlayStation games collected so we can review them for you. So this is one of the first launch titles for PS4 and an exclusive to the system. Knack has a knack of duping most would-be players that want to get the most out of their adventure game by promising the smoothness that only PS4 can bring them, but providing the clunkiness only portrayed by the main character himself. Is the production value high enough to bring this game home? How about the level up system that adds your character to increase his size and destroy more formidable objects? Well, this last question could have been the redeemable attribute here, but unfortunately, when you have a predetermined path void of any options to level up to potential, it kind of kills the idea. Not to say the game isn't moderately fun, but I think gamers were expecting something grander and got blander. Next game in our list here is Life is Strange. This one's by Square Enix. Has the mature rating there at the bottom. Quite a bit of language in this one, but that's just what you get when you get a mature rated title, I guess, nowadays. So, at the same time, though, this game was a kind of a monumental game, in my opinion. I thought it was done so well. So, what a pleasant or unpleasant surprise if you choose that path. This game tackles many obstacles of adolescence and lays out a choice-based experience with the welcome gift to manipulate the course of time. The things this game does right is keep you emotionally in tune with your environment. It also paces very well and provides realistic dialogue and throws in plot twists that really become engaging because only you can see and change the outcomes. The art direction down to the voice acting is superb here and drives the point home that life is strange, especially in your home-based Arcadia. Next up, we have the Mega Man Legacy Collection. This one's by Capcom and provides quite a bit of awesome old Mega Man art there with Dr. Wily. That's just some cool stuff up there. I mean, you got everything that you remember from when you were a kid and you played this game, right? It just looks great. It looks very well done, and it is very well done. There's your Mega Man 1 through 3 at the top there, and 4, 5, and 6. Yes, that's right, 6 games in one here. E rating there at the bottom. Really glad they made this collection of Mega Man games because, like I said, Mega Man was a staple of my youth. So, talking about this game, it's an emulated masterpiece of the games I grew up with. Mega Man Legacy breaches all expectations with every episode brilliantly crafted and upscaled to look beautiful on my LCD or LED television. The concept of creating a stage based on the boss battles you incur have always been a genius move for games, and it is what Mega Man will be remembered for. So many options and so many hours of challenging gameplay await you. If you choose to revisit this collection, and in the fairest sense of the word, it is inexplicably perfect on the PS4. Next up, we're going into a new realm of games, which is the Mortal Kombat realm. This is by Warner Brothers, with a mature rating there at the bottom, and a pretty tight-looking picture of Scorpion on the front, right? Not bad looking. And on the back, he's pretty much taken over these games lately on the cover art. That's okay, because Scorpion's pretty awesome. So we've come a long way from the arcades, where in my case, I stood idle watching most people play these titles because my parents were sitting ominously behind me, daring me to drop a quarter into these machines of sin. So partaking in the gore fest that the Mortal Kombat world brought us to us wasn't always an option for me, but now that I have grown into manhood, I have dabbled in the darker artistic game styles, enough to say I appreciate an upgraded answer to my childhood memories of repression. Many new characters and moves are on the roster here, and brutality hasn't taken a back seat in the slightest. Unfortunately, story gameplay suffers, but for what it's meant to do as a fighter, MKX is top dog. Now, if I could just see my parents' faces after this review. Next up, we're talking about Star Wars Battlefront. This is the deluxe edition by DICE, Lucasfilm, and EA, with a T rating there at the bottom. Obviously, the cover art speaks for itself. This game is beautiful on every level. When you play it, it's just so much fun. There's my receipt right there, which I actually got this one used also, which was really cool to get the deluxe edition used. So, about Star Wars, some of the best movies. Now they're making the games that are just blowing me away. So immediately as I immersed myself into the multiplayer mode, which is what I wanted this game for primarily, I was given the sensation that of a York peppermint patty. It was an exhilarating play, and I had a hard time putting it down. Not to say the game is void of its problems, but unless you're picking it apart as you play, it's very difficult not to at least love your surroundings. Attention to detail in the levels is fabulous. If you decide to venture offline, this is when the game takes a dip into the Sarlacc pit. The level detail is intact, but the construction of game modes is moderately weak. When I take a step back, however, and really take in what was created here, I must force myself to appreciate its production and only have the PS2 versions in my head for comparison. If I do that, the game is nothing short of brilliant. Rising on up the charts, we come to Uncharted 4, A Thief's End. And it has a beautiful cover. I love the art on that cover of this game. T-rated game, Naughty Dog, and of course only on PlayStation. You get the same type of art on the back, which is just really stellar. This game is fantastic with the art direction. I loved what they did with it. So Naughty Dog developers have really become precise in how they construct their games, controls, and stories. They know their target audience, and maybe even those who haven't taken notice of their games yet. This game provides a mature look into the main characters with a dash of youthful adventure that still remains within them. A gripping story and multiplayer options, backed by gorgeous graphics, make this title a send-off worthy of valor. After that, we have Until Dawn, and the cover art on that is really cool, depicting a skull with an hourglass and sand, actually snow falling on a house right there. That's really cool. Mature rated title, only on PlayStation. Only your choices determine who survives here. A lot of stuff in this one for sure, but definitely worth a play if you like the horror genre even a little. Take your pick of any cliche horror survival plot and weave it into a basket. Funny, that looks a lot like an Until Dawn basket. It's actually a tongue-in-cheek horror survival done extremely well, and makes for a night of horror, love, comedy, and gore. I adore choice games, and especially ones that give you the power to either kill or seduce your peers. Replay value is stellar, and decisions actually really matter. Character development is another high point because you believe the personalities. If you really want an interactive driven title to get your panties in a bunch, stay up with Until Dawn and live the dream, that is, if you can stay alive. And next we come to Watch Dogs, which is actually a PS3 title as well, but is definitely better to own on the PS4. It's less glitchy. It actually looks a little smoother. Graphics are better. This is a mature rated title. Ubisoft is your developer, and hacking is your weapon. This is your grade at the bottom, or rating I should say at the bottom. So yeah, let's talk about Watch Dogs. Hacking is the focus, and choosing what or who to hack is as important to story progression as turning a page in a book. The letdown is that over time, the game makes you wonder what you're actually doing that is making any kind of impact in this fictitious world. The key is to take advantage of options and side missions. They really provide the meat of the experience here. When can you say you get to open a perfect stranger's life info without consequence through a cell phone? It's all here within the confines of a digital disc where all that's needed is a little creativity and some invasion of privacy. Next up, we are talking about Season 3. Yep, it's here, The Walking Dead, A New Frontier. This is by Telltale Games. This is the Season Pass disc and is a mature rated title. Telltale has really come a long way and created quite a genre of fantastic games. I'm really liking it. This is one of those times I went out and bought this brand new. I didn't buy this used. This is a new title that I went to the store, had the experience of finding and then buying it and playing it for all of you so that I could review it. It is also the last game in our first wave of PS4, so it's hard to live up to the expectations if you're The Walking Dead. Off to a slower start than prior seasons, but also using the technique of building an intriguing storyline, Season 3 has done what I needed thus far to keep me hyped for what's to come.
Fuel tank.
Also, I was pleased to build a relationship with Clementine, and it felt like a new direction may be explored. Not the level of intensity as the series once had, Season 3 is still a good attempt at giving you the conscious conundrums they are known for. Of the 3 games released, however, this is dead last. As we wrap up our first PS4 collection and review, you can expect more greatness to come. To start off your own personal journey, we want to be your guide through the wastelands of uncertainty and provide for you a map to collecting. For as much as we like rarity, you will start to see it trickle into our reviews, and who knows, you might just learn something.